this is your first comment which came on Times of India, and which started off by you saying, "Don't let your child pursue sports unless you're rich." This one was, "I advise parents not to put their children in sports. We are not in a position to offer sports as a career. Unless the children are from rich backgrounds or have family business, it's advisable for children. It's not advisable for children to take up sport." And then there was, of course, a lot of noise over this article. And then you came up with this interview in the Indian Express, in which it's a longish interview. I've just taken out a chunk. And you said, "Being in sport has been a long journey, and I've seen the whole range from hardworking players to committed parents getting into sport and the system not responding. Olympics after Olympics, I've been one of those people propagating that sports for everyone is important. Numbers of those pursuing sports over the last 10 years are big, while the opportunities to succeed at the elite levels are very limited." So, did you expect such a reaction when you said the first thing? And do you feel that the second one is explanation enough?
Well, for the first thing, I think when you have a newspaper which is writing it, it's typically you talking to a reporter, he understanding it and writing it, writing a column, and his editor editing it, something else coming up on the front page, something in the article because of place constraints, and eventually the reader. There are about 4 to 5 filters which actually happen in the process, where probably the entire gist of it might be changed a little bit, not necessarily because I've said anything wrong or the people have understood it wrong, but to actually put an entire context in place is very important. So rather than going into the specific one line, which I'm not unhappy about, because I think today we are having this conversation because that statement came up that way. I think it's important.
You wanted to wake up people with that?
I didn't think of waking up. Having woken up, I would rather take an opportunity to make them understand what the real scenario is.
Something must have provoked you, no, to say this?
No, year after year, Smita, I see players, I see hardworking players, parents actually bringing them, burning their resources, time. And then you realize that not everybody makes it. It's not their fault. It's the nature of sport. They don't get the jobs. They don't get a secure future. And they come with a big dream, and the dream is actually shattered. I come from a very middle class family. Many of my players who've made it also come from middle class families. Across sport also, if you look, actually it's the middle class and the poorer people who actually have made it.
Correct.
That's the reality. When I was playing, and why this came up was, when I was playing, I wrote an engineering exam. I failed the engineering exam, and my parents said, "Gopi, you get a year to play. If you win and get a job, then you can play." Luckily, I won the junior nationals that year. Most importantly, I got a job in Tata Steel. And that's the only reason I continued to play. Today, when I see national champions, when I see Commonwealth medalists, when I see Asian Games medalists not having jobs, and that starts to pain me, that what is the future they have? And this continues year after year. Now, last year was the Olympic year. You don't talk this language at the Olympics because that is important. The previous year was the Asian Games. The previous year was the Commonwealth Games, and the previous year was the Olympics. So last 4 years literally. And now also, if I don't talk this up, we will talk about the 40 odd players who are in the top scheme who are supposed to make it to the Olympics. Next year we'll very easily forget about the rest of the story and talk about Commonwealth Games, Asian Games. 2027 we'll talk about Olympics, and 2028 is the Olympics. 29 we'll have a change of guard in terms of new people coming and taking charge of various policies. And then 2030 we'll have a youth Olympics, and then the cycle starts. I've seen Olympics after Olympics go by. The number of people, I go in the morning at 5, I see players with a dream. I know out of them, even though I might be the most successful coach, I see more failure than success. And I'm saying, boss, I know you cannot make it. But the guy is thinking, I will make it. And then I'm saying, what is the future you have? And I can't tell it to the player because I'm telling him, you will make it. Because he can't think that he is not going to make it. He's going to think he's going to. But I know out of the 100 people, one might make it. So where is the safety net? And that's all I'm concerned about.
Do subscribe to the ANI Clips channel to get shorter versions of this podcast. Click here to watch the full episode.